Everybody thought the Killing Curse was the most overpowered spell in Hogwarts Legacy, while there's actually something that one-shots everything even better and with a much lower cooldown. That's why today we'll talk about even more advanced combat tips and tricks that will probably warrant us getting a higher difficulty after this. So totally drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and let's dive right in. Now what you're looking at right here might as well just be the fourth unforgivable curse, and it is called the transformation spell, which by default only turns your enemies into inanimate objects for a little while. But there's actually a trick in game to couple this with the curse mechanic, which will basically one-shot entire groups of enemies. To make this possible, you'll need the following talents, starting with the Blood Curse in the Dark Art skill line, which is going to inflict damage on all enemies that you cursed before. It's also good to get Crucio Mastery to make this even easier, since you can then apply the projectile from the main target to curse all foes nearby way quicker. And the final piece needed can be found in the spells category. It's called Transformation Mastery, that comes in after level 22. This will make transformation turn enemies into an explosive barrel that you can then pick off from the ground and throw, instantly one-shotting the primary target. You can probably see where I'm going with this one, because the moment you curse a few targets and then transform just one of them into one of these explosive barrels, the moment you pick it off the ground, everybody around you gets one-shotted. The best way to do this in is to cast Crucio on a higher HP main target, and then, just like in the case of the cursed build, hit it a few times with normal attacks until others nearby get the green marks on them. Once that's done, transform the primary target into a barrel, and once you pick it off with R1 to throw it with an ancient magic throw, this kills the primary one as well as every single other enemy that has been cursed beforehand. It also works with troll enemies and literally any other boss in the game, even the ones that are immune to the transformation spells themselves through the curse linking. So the best way to do it in this case is to again do the Crucio on the main troll enemy, attack it to spread the debuff on all nearby ones, and then use transformation on the normal sized enemies nearby. And once you pick off that enemy, both the group as well as the main boss will similarly get one-shotted with this build. Of course, huge thanks to Papa Ghost are in order for pointing out this spell combo to me earlier, and you can reach out to me in the comments or via Twitter for more awesome suggestions like these. But something tells me that this might not have been the intended effect that Avalanche wanted with this combo, so it's possible that a future update might address this one way or another, because right now it's significantly more powerful than the Avada Kedavra, and even more so, comes much earlier and with a much faster cooldown. That being said, it's not the only interaction that feels super strong, and if you take a look at your enemy collections tab, the game gives you tons of hints about all of their various weaknesses. One of my favorites is by far Flipendo, that you can use on troll attacks to make them hit themselves in the head with your own weapons, which both deals very high damage, stuns them, and opens them up to a lot of your much devastating combos. So to do that, you have to wait for the slam attack that you can normally parry as well, and once it hits the ground, you have 1 or 2 seconds to cast a quick Flipendo on the target, which will then send that oversized club back into the troll's skull, leaving it paralyzed for a few seconds. It's not only incredibly efficient, but the damage is also great, and since being in a stunned state is a massive damage amplifier on its own, the spell combo after this will be devastating, especially the Glacius plus Defendo, which will literally let you one-shot that target right away, even on the high difficulty. There's more though, and my next favorite is using Arrest the Momentum on the Executioner enemies when they cast the Fire Tornadoes or the Lightning Strikes, because slowing down their movement just as they're about to unleash those attacks also prolong the duration of the fire and the electric ones as they do it. And in this case, it almost doubles its duration, which means if you couple this with a quick Accio, you can pull off some of the other targets inside of these for them to basically get one-shotted. You can also further use Arrest Momentum to give you more time to cast Expelliarmus on them to have the Executioners hit themselves even easier with their own attacks. So just before they charge the animation, hit them with the slow effect, which is going to give you a way longer time so that you can disarm the attack and then have them hit them in the face with their own attacks, which again will deal massive damage. But on top of that, I find it particularly effective if you use the previously mentioned transformation spell on the Animagus enemies, as this will turn them back from the animal state into the human state. This is probably one of their biggest weaknesses, and if you cast that spell while they are in their wolf form, you can turn them back into human, which is also going to stun them for a very long time. Plus, you can also deal increased damage because this technically also qualifies as a combo multiplier. Normally, wolf form also acts as a secondary HP bar for them, so this is a great counter and also opens them up for a ton of damage. And finally, for the dog bugs, there's actually an even better way of dealing with them on top of pulling them by their tongues and then cutting it with Defendo. So basically, right after they do one of these unblockable charge attacks, if you dodge, you have a couple of seconds left to use a force spell on them, which is going to flip them on their backs. It doesn't matter which one of them it is, as long as it's a purple one. It can be Accio, Flipendo, or Depulso. All will have the exact same effect, which is going to turn them on their backs, and then you can pretty much one-shot them with a proper combo. It's about the same as the Levioso and Defendo combo, it's just that you can do it during this state and not have to wait for that one. In any case, if you want to further master the hardest difficulty, assuming you want to play on it from the start, which by the way I definitely recommend, you have to focus a lot more on your character's upgrades, but also have to understand that the increase in difficulty also affects a few things. The first thing it does is that it halves the damage that you deal on targets. Like with the same build on the same troll enemy, my damage with the Defendo combo went from between 5.5 6k all the way down to just 2.9, so that's half of the damage that I was previously dealing. Similarly, the damage that the troll dealt onto my own character was pretty manageable on the normal mode, but on the hard difficulty it basically got doubled. That's why focusing on your gear upgrade levels, like I mentioned in my 13 mistakes video, becomes so important, as not having at least the 3 offense pieces upgraded means reducing your damage to even less than a third of what it could be. So to give you an example, a higher level legendary gear that's not even upgraded would only deal about 23 damage on this troll on the hard difficulty, or 177 with the final hit of the normal combo chain, with only 4.2k on the stun, glacius and defendo combo, which is extremely weak. But once all of the 3 offenses gear got upgraded, the stats only went up by around 100 in the summary screen, but now our normal damage jumped to 93 per hit, and my Defendo spell combo jumped to basically 16k damage, which is also going to one-shot this troll enemy on the hardest difficulty. Mods also play a very big role, especially the level 3 ones, as much as doubling your damage if you put them. And I made a case for the concentration trait in the previous video and how amazing this is if you just want a great all-around build in the end game that doesn't necessarily focus on any single skill, but can still one-shot any target regardless where you go. So going with a full build that has all the concentration traits and using the Defendo combo on this troll that hasn't been previously stunned would deal just a bit over 4,000 damage. Meanwhile, a build that did not have the concentration trait with the same combo basically only did half of that damage against the same troll at around just 2,000. You can of course also choose the more specialized perks, but in the end I don't think it's going to be worth it. I already talked about the fact that Laceration 3, if you go with a full setup like that, will deal at least 50% more damage than if you were to go with concentration, assuming in this case we just compared that Defendo combo. But in this case, all of your other attacks would basically remain unbuffed, so I don't think it's going to be worth it. That's why concentration is going to be by far the best all-rounder for most players, especially as you go into the end game. Of course, there's one final thing that you'll definitely want, which is going to make your character completely invincible and immune to every single damage, and that's going to be the Adurus Potion Potency perk that you find very early in the Room of Requirements skill line. This is so strong in fact that you can have a whole army of trolls and other enemies literally attacking you at the same time, and you will not even flinch once. Meanwhile, they will literally just hit each other and just kill each other in the meantime because they all stay into one single pack. So totally something that you should consider. This is basically how you're going to become even more powerful than you can already do in Hogwarts Legacy. I believe that they should definitely add a much bigger difficulty after this. Maybe a very hard mode that maybe adds a lot more new interesting mechanics would be really nice. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video at any point, a thumbs up on it would be really awesome. And if you really enjoyed it, also don't forget to subscribe and activate that notification bell. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.